Okay. Whew. Making that sound a lot lately. Knicks lose again. Third straight loss, fourth loss in 5 games. Um, Feels like the snowball is starting to pick up speed. Final score in Toronto 125 to 116. This was a game that very much followed the script, I guess, of the last couple games where Wizards came out, lit up the gym, and Hawks came out, lit up the gym, and tonight the Raptors came out and lit up the gym. And there were some specific differences in each of those games. I suppose the Hawks game, obviously, it was tighter because the Knicks were firing on all cylinders on offense early on. Tonight, different story. Knicks took a little while to get the ball moving. Of course, once they got the ball moving, they actually had one of their better passing games of the year, which was nice. They did actually some nice things. I know it feels like all doom and gloom right now, but the Knicks actually did some nice things tonight. Anyway, but yeah, that's one commonality of the last 3 games. And then the other commonality, at least of the last 2 games, is the start of the fourth quarter. The Knicks absolutely get obliterated. And it was, I believe, 20-4 start to the fourth quarter against Atlanta. Tonight it was 16 or 14-2, and I have a feeling it was actually kind of worse than that. Mike Breen had a great stat with about 4.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter that the Knicks were out rebounded 13-4 over the first 7 minutes and 30 seconds. This feels bad. This feels bad. It doesn't feel good right now if you're watching this team. It feels like there's a lot wrong with it. And it feels like the stuff that is still good, which, again, there's good stuff going on. Like, they're fighting. They were down 17 tonight. They came back to take a 3-point lead. That's a 20-point turnaround on the road. You're missing 2 of your top 6 guys on a team that only has 6 guys. Although a 7th guy did show up tonight, so we'll talk about him in a bit. So give them credit for that. They cleaned up the defensive rebounding issues minus Mitchell Robinson for 3 quarters tonight. I guess they deserve half a gold star for that. And I actually want to give praise to one player in particular. I don't think anyone's played really great basketball over the last 3 games. And maybe we could even go further than that, because before that was the Detroit game, and before that was the last Toronto game. I thought Julius Randle played a really good game tonight. I thought he started off shaky. He held the ball too long in several instances. Took him a while to get acclimated to what the Toronto defense was throwing at him. It should not take him that long to get acclimated to what the Toronto defense is throwing at him. He's faced them 3 or 4 times a year, whatever it's been, for the last 3 years or 4 years since he's been here. He should be more used to it. So that's not great. That said, after that initial kind of period of unevenness, I thought he played a really, 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 really good game, to the point that I wanted to call him out in a positive way. Finished 8 of 14 from the field, 23 points, 19 rebounds, 1 shy of his career high, and 8 assists. And I think his 4 turnovers that he had, he ended up with 4 turnovers. All 4 of those, I want to say, were in the first quarter. It doesn't make him, not count, but he showed up. That said, the Knicks have got to the place where they were 6th in the East and given people notions like, hey, maybe we could make a run at home court advantage, to now being in a place where it's like, well, wait a minute, are we going to get are we going to be in like the top half of the play-in bracket with Mitch out for a while and quickly obviously missed the game tonight? Hopefully that's not serious. I think it's easy to, as it's happening, not realize how important it is when Julius Randle or Jalen Brunson, oftentimes both of them, are really playing like all-stars and making all kinds of shots that you are really difficult to make, like star level shots. And both of them, to a certain extent, were doing that for the better part of a month and a half, if you want to go even longer than that, for Brunson. He's really been, and Randall even, is both of their efficiency all year long. They've been great. Of late, Brunson, not a good game today. Randall, I just praised him. Really good game. He only hit 7 field goals. Didn't get to the line all that much. You want to blame the refs for that. What did Randall end up shooting from the line? Got 8 times. He was 5 of 8, missed 3 free throws, not good. But like, those guys have carried the Knicks. Think about how many times we've watched this team where those guys, one or both of them, have bailed them out. And offense obviously isn't the issue right now. It's not. They scored 116 points tonight. They scored 124 points against Atlanta. Like, they could score. It was obviously an issue at the start of the fourth quarter when both of those guys were off the court. And we'll talk about that. The choice that was made to have both of those guys off the court and trust a backup plus RJ lineup that ended up kind of being the end of the game for them. He got Brunson in there after, I think it was a 8-2 Toronto run. So they were down 6. He got Brunson back in there, didn't really stem the tide, got Randall back in there. And then, by that point, it was almost too late. But like, I can't help but notice that it's hard for this team to look as good as they have at times this year, or for us to watch them and feel as good about their ceiling and feel as good about what they're doing when Brunson isn't doing Jalen Brunson things, and he did not do any of those things tonight. I thought he had a really poor game, and Randall is more forced into the role of distributor, which I thought he was tonight, and he did a really good job of it. And again, after that first quarter. So wanted to get that out of the way. There's a lot that is going to come up tonight. There's going to be conversation about, drop coverage. There's going to be conversation about point of attack defense, about going under screens. There's going to be the usual conversation about Isaiah Hartenstein. Why is he still getting minutes for this team? I don't really have a great answer for that. I'm sure will be conversation about Evan Fournier. Evan Fournier tonight did hit some big shots. He also was 3 of 9 overall, had 2 turnovers, one of which was absolutely inexplicable when he just threw the ball to nobody, laying on the floor. But there were a couple of other instances of that tonight, so I don't want to put it all on him. But he played 21 minutes. Meanwhile, Obi Toppin played 11 minutes. Obi Toppin, you could tell me that Obi Toppin was the most important player of this game because they had absolutely nothing going for them until the backups checked in initially. And then Obi Toppin hit his first 4 threes. Played spectacularly, had a really nice steal that ended up the ball back in his hands, hit a corner 3. I don't want to say he single-handedly got them back in the game, but he was easily the most significant contributor to getting them back in the game. And he plays 3 minutes in the second half. Now, do I think Julius Randle should have been on the bench? No, I don't think Julius Randle should have been on the bench. Like I said, I think Julius Randle played an excellent game. Hartenstein is giving you nothing. Nothing. And Jericho Sims, I think, again, for what he is being asked to do a year and a half after being the 58th pick in the draft, played admirably last year, did some really nice things. I thought he's played really well in the opportunities he's been given this year. But that's a tough spot for him to be in. He's not Mitchell Robinson. He can't be Mitchell Robinson. He could try, and he could be an approximation to Mitch, but no one's going to be Mitch. And I think everything that we're seeing with this team right now, maybe not everything, but a lot of what we're seeing with this team right now, I kind of want to put under the umbrella of they are clearly a good to maybe very good team when they could stick to their formula. And that is Tom Thibodeau's specialty. If you give him, he's like, I need this, this, and this. And if you give me this, this, and this, I'll be able to drill into my guys what I need them to do to perform. And for a while, that is exactly what was happening. When I would always come on here and I would always quote the same stats, the Knicks over the last 4 weeks, 6 weeks, it got even longer than that. Top 5 net rating. Like, that wasn't imaginary, and I think we kind of took it for granted as it was happening. It wasn't imaginary; it was a real thing. Now you don't have all of your pieces anymore. You don't have Mitchell Robinson tonight. You didn't have Emmanuel Quickly. You're relying on other things that you're not used to relying on. Your players, after getting used to playing with Mitchell Robinson for this entire year and being able to rely on him being a backstop who, hey, if I'm a little bit more aggressive, getting up on this shooter and the shooter turns into a driver and blows by me, well, I know Mitch is going to be there. Mitch ain't there anymore, and they know that. And I think what we're seeing and what we certainly saw at the beginning of this game, and they, to their credit, they cleaned it up, is like guys just playing too far off and guys like making poor decisions on screens because they're just not used to playing without Mitchell Robinson. And like, I know one thing shouldn't have anything to do with the other. Like, why should, like, you should still make the right decision on a screen. Like, don't go under a screen when it's Fred VanVleet that's the shooter, especially since Fred VanVleet seems incapable of scoring under 30 points against this team. I don't know exactly what he had tonight. 28 on the time. I think that's his third game this season, scoring 28 against us. That's hysterical. I'm pretty sure now 4 of his top 8 or 9 or 10 scoring games have come against the Knicks this year, which you can't write this shit. And he had the nail in the coffin tonight when they were trying to make a too little too late comeback. Anyway, like that's poor decision making. And like you can't eat, like, Mitch not being back there shouldn't be in your as a defender be like, okay, well, I have to lay off a little bit because I really got to make sure the guy doesn't drive by me. No, that's your call to be like, I have to just be my best self. And they were not their best selves against the Hawks. They were not their best selves as defenders out of the gate tonight against the Raptors. Again, they cleaned it up. Give them credit for that. They deserve credit for that. You like to see it. You like to see the fight in the team. They certainly haven't given up. But they're just a very imperfect team. And they were always a team that kind of, not like, not a house of cards, but they needed all their guys and they needed everything to function just so. And if you kept them healthy, they would usually be able to do pretty well. And right now they're not healthy. And we're seeing, the mountains start to crumble. Can they fix it? Is this coach capable of being a little bit more flexible? Is this roster capable of being a little bit more flexible? If they do decide to go with more small ball, they went with small ball against the Hawks and they got obliterated. Now, that was a 4 or 5 minute sample size against a team that was, with those guards probably uniquely constructed to exploit a team going small without a lot of great defenders. Especially not a lot of great point of attack defenders. I don't know. All I will say is that, there's going to be a lot of suggestions tonight. Oh, why aren't the Knicks doing this? Why aren't the Knicks doing that? I just did it. It's all fair. It's all fair because when you have 3 losses in a row and none of the losses are like leave you feeling particularly great about anything. Like, yeah, you're going to be like, why the fuck aren't they doing this, that, and the other thing? There's downsides to every choice, which is not to say you don't try other stuff. That's what people usually respond with when I have this retort, which is like, well, try it. What's going on right now isn't working. It's true. And they do need to try some different stuff because, like, it's 3 losses in a row. It's 4 and 5 games. It hasn't killed you that much yet. I'm pretty sure they're still 7th in the East because the Hawks lost an absolutely awful game to the Hornets last night. Thank goodness for that. So, like, they're still 7th. Like, the wheels haven't completely fallen off. It feels like the wheels have fallen off right now. They haven't. You can rebound from this. You can put it together. The schedule does not get any easier. I circled tonight. I was like, man, if there's ever a game they got to steal, it might be this one, especially with these next handful of games coming up. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what they have left in them, what they have left in the tank. Again, I don't care how it happens. I don't care how they do it. I don't care how it looks. If they could figure out a way to get to the All-Star break at 500, kudos to them. I'm not sure how they do it. Moment of the game. I got 3 candidates here. First moment of the game, it happened a million years ago, but it was still pretty impressive. Julius Randle had a hellacious dunk in the first quarter that gave the Knicks 20 points, which was like, honestly, as ferocious as the dunk he had recently. That was like the dunk of the year. So that was pretty good. Obi's steal, and then got rewarded with the 3 that polished off a 4 for 4. I think it was either his third or fourth 3. That's a good play of the game candidate. And then what should we go with for the last one? You know what? Because he was really good and he didn't get much run in the second half. I'm gonna go with another Obi play. Obi, the ball bounced around a couple of times at the end of the first half, and Obi made a really, really nice quick pass to, I think it was either Quentin Grimes or Jericho Sims under the basket. It was Obi Toppin's. I'm pretty sure it was his only assist, or one of his few assists. That was a really nice play. All the love for Obi Toppin. Played a really nice game. So I just want to he only had 1 assist. So whatever that Obi Toppin assist was, that's the other moment of the game. And then our Weiss and Rosenblum personal injury report. Don't forget, if you have a inquiry about a possible case, don't call Weiss and Rosenblum, 212-366-6100, or visit weissandrosenblum.com for more information. Don't hire a rookie, hire a veteran. Prior results don't guarantee future outcomes. Mitchell Robinson, hurry back. Reevaluated in 2.5 weeks, please. And Emmanuel Quickly, this was Quick's first missed game of the year. And according to Rebecca Harlow, came out, warmed up for about 20 minutes, decided he couldn't give it a go. I hope it's not anything. Because you really do feel the loss of Quickly. And that's the other thing I'll end by saying this before we get to the super chats. This team threw 47 games. There are 2 guys that have separated themselves in the on-off metric in terms of how much better the team performs when they are on the floor. And those 2 players are Mitchell Robinson and Emmanuel Quickly. And I forget who's third, but whoever is third is like a pretty distant third. They're not going to be able to survive the loss of both of those players. They need certainly Quickly back, and then it's all hands on deck to try to scrounge together somehow 5 wins between now and the All-Star break. All right, that's it. Very curious to see which way the conversation goes tonight. I do not expect there to be many positives, but you never know. Brian Benjamin starts us off. Would love to see Tibbs make an adjustment. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of that tonight. And again, I spoke about it already. They need to adjust somehow. Just like, again, there's always trade-offs. Like, they started switching more. Drop wasn't really an issue after the early going. The offense wasn't really an issue. Again, 116 points scored. Your defenders just have to be better. Like, nobody defended well. I mean, Deuce McBride, I guess, defended pretty well tonight. I thought Julius was okay defensively. You just have to be better. You have to be better at the point of attack. You have to be better on screens. You have to be stronger on the glass. They were better for 3 quarters, and then they got absolutely eviscerated. Guys got to step up. Guys got to step up. Brian Benjamin with another one. If we don't see Obi and Randall, then Tom isn't willing to do anything to win. Our defensive anchor is gone. Let's go full offense, baby. Shout out GMAC. Yeah, that's one of those things that's easy for us to sit here and say. He did it against the Hawks, and it was the nail in the coffin. It was the end of that game when he put those 2 guys together on the floor because they couldn't make heads or tails of what to do defensively against that Atlanta team. I think tonight you could argue it would have made more sense to try against this particular Raptors unit. Then again, what are the Raps great at? They're great at grabbing offensive rebounds. What does it become harder to do when you have no center on the floor? Grab defensive rebounds. Like, that's a thing that's, again, it's not sexy and it's like, it's not fun to talk about. And like, we want to talk about the offense and how, for me, like, again, the offense isn't the issue for me. For me, the offense, the issue is the defense. And they really need to rejigger how they defend with Mitchell Robinson out. I think he is that important. I think he's that substantial to their entire game plan defensively. At least with Obi, again, nobody's saying Obi Toppin is a great defender. He might not even be a good defender, but maybe it makes you a little bit more comfortable switching some of this stuff. But again, is he like, if your good defenders are getting blown by on the perimeter, like, what's Obi Toppin going to do on a switch? Is he going to be any better? And then you lose the rebounding too. Again, I'm not saying don't try stuff. Try stuff, please try stuff. Obi also brings great energy, which is great, but there's downsides to everything. Whatever you want to do, any place you want to look, there's downsides. This roster just is not. There's not a lot of playable NBA talent. Is the moral of the story. Thanks, Brian. Hamdy M, what's going on, Hamdy? Are we sure Hartenstein is 7 feet? He doesn't play like it. Plays like he's about 5'7". Asking for a friend. Unfortunately, I have Comcast, so I watch the local broadcast. It's brutal, John. I'm sorry about that, Hamdy. Man, Hartenstein, I hate when there's a guy that turns in. I mean, other than Tibbs, because Tibbs is always the scapegoat. But I hate when there's a player that kind of becomes the scapegoat for a season, because it's never about one player. It's never about one player. His fit it's not, and he's completely lost any confidence on the offensive end. I mean, think about this. When's the last time Isaiah Hartenstein has taken a three? The floater that was so automatic to start the year. He had a floater tonight that was wide open. It was off significantly. And then when you factor in what he's just not doing on the defensive glass, he's not really grabbing offensive rebounds as well anymore. I know he's had a couple of decent offensive rebound games recently, but it's not working right now for him at all. Thanks, Hamdy. Forgotten NYC. What's going on, Forgotten? Season can be lost in a heartbeat if we're not careful here. We saw it last year with losses in 17 of 20. Brutal stretch coming up. You brought it up, so we might as well talk about it. So here are the Knicks' next bunch of games. Ready? Cleveland at home. At Boston. At Brooklyn. Hopefully no KD, although Kyrie, I watched him in the fourth quarter against Utah the other night. Went for 48. Guy's an absolute, well, I don't want to say anything too strong. Not my favorite human being on the face of the earth, but the dude could still ball. And then you got a 4-game homestand against the Lakers, the Heat, the Clippers, and the Sixers, and that Sixers game's on ESPN. And then you maybe get a little reprieve. You go to Orlando, although they took a game from someone recently that was took a game off of a decent team. Maybe it was Toronto. I forget. Toronto or Orlando won a game recently. That's what I know. Against a team that was not terrible. That's your upcoming stretch. I mean, as of right now, sitting here right now, I don't anticipate them being favored in any of these games. They're going to be dogs until they go to Orlando. So if you're going to be underdogs in the next 7 games, what constitutes good? Is 2 and 5 good? Is 3 and 4? I mean, Jesus, if they go 3, I mean, where do I sign for 3 and 4 in this stretch? And then you close out the rest of the stretch before the All-Star break with at Orlando, at Philly, Utah, and Brooklyn. And then you try to win the Orlando game. You try to steal either the Utah game or not steal. You should honestly be able to beat Utah and Brooklyn at home going into the All-Star break. Oh, sorry. And then one more at Atlanta. That takes you into the break. Again, are there 5 wins in there? I don't know. I'm sure they know the severity of what's happening. But can they stop it is the question. I don't have the answer to that sitting here right now. Forgotten with one more. The Raps being 6 games under seems fake. They're good. They're just a great matchup against us because so you move the ball, you score against the Raptors by moving the ball. The Knicks, it took them a quarter to realize this, apparently. And then finally they started moving the ball, and then lo and behold, over the last 3 quarters, the Knicks actually scored a lot of points. Did the Knicks actually outscore the Raptors over the course of the last 3 quarters? Yeah, they did, because they were down 15 after the first. And then from there, the Knicks put up 31, 33, and 30. Now, I understand the 30 in the fourth quarter was a little bit of fool's gold because they didn't score them when it counted. But so they're not a good passing team, the Knicks. Raptors are great because, and then if you're not a great passing team and you're the Knicks, and the Raptors also are uniquely suited to shut down the guy that is the head of the snake in Jalen Brunson, and they are as well suited to shut down Jalen Brunson as any team in the league, then you put guys into positions that they're not accustomed to being put in, which is where you get more turnovers than usual, which is how the Raptors score. And that's why the Knicks give up 8,000 points, it seems like, every time they face the Raptors, because they give them up in transition. And then when you factor in the offensive rebounds, which is like, again, defensive rebounding has been an issue for the Knicks all year. They've cleaned it up at times. The Raptors will exploit that. And then when you throw in no Mitchell Robinson tonight, like that's huge. That's really big. They're a bad matchup for us. And then the Van Vliet thing, again, the version of Van Vliet that we have seen in these 4 games is go look at his game log. Go look at his year-long stats. That is not the guy that has been playing for the Toronto Raptors the entire year. This is a different dude who comes to play when he sees us on the court with him. I mean, credit to him for that, but that's the other huge reason. His threes are just, man, back, and he was getting into the paint at will too. That's the other part. Like they couldn't stop him. They couldn't stop his threes, and they couldn't stop his penetration. That's what I mean when you got a guy who's both hitting threes and penetrating at will. It can't be completely a scheme thing because you're not, like, guys just aren't doing their job. And then you say, okay, well, you want to switch more. How many times? I lost track of the amount of times that Siakam was on a smaller guy close to the basket, or they had to rotate and help because there was a guard left on Achua with the ball in the corner, or Barnes started getting them on switches late. Like all of these dudes, like they're just really well suited to exploit mismatches. That's what they do. They pound you into the paint and they hit these little shots, much like Atlanta, by the way. Bad matchup in a different way for the Knicks. But again, how many of the games coming up are we going to see good matchups? You know, who do the Knicks match up with particularly well at this point? I don't know. Thanks, Forgotten. Drew P., we have our first fake trade super chat of the post game. Add Bamba and Bullock? ? I mean, I think Reggie Bullock certainly would help defensively. He hasn't shot it well this year, but he's shot it better of late. He would take Deuce's minutes. And again, like, I'm sorry, but like RJ's, I haven't called him out yet. RJ had a nice stat line. Good job by him hitting threes. He had some impressive finishes. Nice game from that perspective. He continues to play no defense at all that I could be impressed with. And his decision-making in certain big spots. I'm bringing this up because you mentioned Deuce. Or I'm thinking of Deuce because of Bullock, because he would take Deuce's spot in the rotation. Like, Deuce he's not running your offense in these backup units. Like, he's not a point. That's why he's a technically, I guess you call him a point guard. He's not a point guard. He doesn't run your offense. He's not even like a Lonzo Ball or like a, like a Dyson Daniels or someone that's like a connector, right? That's not Deuce. The ball kind of stops when it goes in his hands. He like dribbles around a little bit. Maybe he penetrates the 16 feet and then he's like, oh shit, what do I do now? I guess I'll shoot it. I think he took one of those tonight, missed. So in those minutes, you need RJ to kind of reliably run your offense, especially with no quickly. Now you want to tell me the answer was to make sure Brunson or Randall was on the floor. That's fine. But then like Brunson wasn't that great tonight. So like RJ Maybe I'm asking too much of the kid. You can't completely throw up all over yourself at the beginning of the fourth quarter there, which is what he did. Cost them the game, or contributed to costing them the game. Anyway, nice stat line though. Yes, his playmaking needs to be again. RJ's playmaking needs to be utilized more. He just needs to be better. Like utilizing RJ's playmaking implies that RJ has been a good playmaker at any point in time over the course of his career. He has at times been a passable playmaker at best. You say you're tired of no ball movement. The Knicks tonight assisted on, make sure I get this right. The Knicks assisted tonight on 30 of 40 made field goals. That is their highest assist percentage of the season. I'm not sure I could take a comment seriously when you say you're tired of no ball movement, and we literally just witnessed the best ball movement that they've had all year. Literally. Jalen Brunson needs to get right. Yes, he does. And then, yes, Deuce's offense does hurt to watch. Ball movement wasn't the problem tonight, except for that stretch in the beginning of the fourth quarter. And again, it's not about utilizing RJ's playmaking. It's about RJ Barrett needing to be better. You know? Just be better. Enough with the hand-holding at a certain point. Just be good. Hayden Freed. Thanks, Hayden. Obi 4 of 5 from 3, 5 of 8 overall. Can't play 10 minutes. Have to trade him. Or play him more. Trade him or play him more. I would like to see him play more. He could help this team win. He's a good basketball player. It would behoove them to figure out how he could help them win. It's on the coach. It's on the front office. It's on everybody. Figure it out. Don't trade this guy at this where his value is right now. Thanks, Hayden. Dom Cappuccini, what's going on, Dom? This team is unrecognizable from what we saw most of January. December, too. December. They were world beaters in December after the Mavs game. My optimism from post-Bucks game is evaporating. Is there any reason to hold any hope they could hang in the play-in range over the next 12 games? Yeah. Jalen Brunson can rediscover his all-star form. Hasn't looked like that in a bit. Couple games, whatever it is. So that would be a big thing. I think they need to figure out. They have to figure out something else defensively, something that's sustainable for them. Because right now, what they're doing, I'm not sure how sustainable it is. But then again, I say that, and I go right back to what I said initially, which is that guys just have to be better. They just have to be better. They have to defend better. Like your point of attack defense can't suck. Especially when you have allegedly some good point of attack defender. Like Quentin Grimes has had his worst consecutive games by far as a Knick defensively between Atlanta and tonight. I did not think he was good defensively. And like maybe I'm picking on him, but like that's what he's here for. Like the threes are important, and he hit some threes tonight, and good job by him for that. He's here for his point of attack defense. He's the Knicks' best point of attack defender, given his size. He needs to play like it. He didn't play like that tonight. You know, Deuce got taken advantage of the other night against Atlanta. I thought he was better tonight. They have to get Quickly back. Quickly healthy. Quickly will help on the defensive end. I don't know. Maybe you get Hartenstein out of the rotation finally. I don't know. Maybe you make a trade. Maybe RJ. Oh, here's a good one. Maybe RJ Barrett, the guy who everybody was like, well, his contract is better than the Jordan Poole contract and the Tyler Hero contract and any other those sorts of contracts you want to say, because RJ plays defense. Right? RJ plays defense. Well, I'd like to see it at some point. I don't know if that's too much to ask. Like, utilize the fact that you're a 6'7" wing who allegedly can move pretty well on the perimeter. Just, you know, like they were hiding him on Precious Achiuwa to start this game. Think about that. Dan Hidalgo, what's going on, Dan? Does Tibbs have a personal vendetta against Obi? No, he doesn't. He has a personal love affair with attempting to have some semblance of rim protection in the game at all times. And, you know, in fairness, he wants defensive rebounds. And Obi's not a great rebounder. And Julius Randle has been one of the best rebounders in the NBA for the last like 3 weeks. But if he's your best and biggest rebounder on the floor, you're going to have some issues. So again, that Obi Randle lineup, you're going to get hurt on the glass. It's not how they're used to playing defense. Yeah, but it's not as simple as like the guy went, whatever he was, 5 of 8, 4 or 5 from 3. Like, oh, he has to play 20 minutes. Like, it has to be functional for your team, but there needs to be more consideration to getting those guys on the floor together, even if it's not perfect. We are in the section of the season where perfect is the enemy of the good. And if you want to draw a comparison to last year, as Forgotten NYC did earlier, about how the Tibbs inability to like look in the mirror and be like, this isn't working, like playing Alec Burks at point guard, like having the size defensively, having Alec Burks close games because he's a veteran, he had been there before, and seeing the same thing happen over and over and over again. Like, it was enough. He was given enough rope to hang himself almost. And that was their undoing last year. They never adjusted. I hope he has learned a lesson from that. I understand, again, as I will sit here and I'll tell you myself, there are no easy answers. There are no obvious answers. But you need to know when to pull the plug on what's happening now, because you don't feel like what's happening now is going to have a different result. And like, I don't know. Is now the time? I'm not sure. Went too long last year. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Thanks, Dan. Hush Zoo, what's going on? Tibbs was a joke tonight. Obi saving the team in the first half, rewarded with an extra minute. Overall, only played 11. Evan Fournier got 21. Is this coach serious? Again, we talked about it. I know, look, fans aren't going to like it. I get it. It's annoying. I'm sure it's annoying for Obi. You have to figure out a way to get him on the floor more. But that's not why they lost this game. They lost this game because, and again, like, say what you want about Obi. Obi was on the floor in the stretch of basketball when they did lose the game. Now, he was on the floor without a point guard. RJ Barrett was effectively the point guard in those minutes and didn't get the ball to Obi Toppin during that stretch. I think maybe he took one shot during that stretch of time. But he was on the floor, and then things went bad. And then Jalen Brunson went on the floor to give the Obi unit a point guard, and things continued going bad. He's not Julius Randle. Like, Julius Randle tonight was easily their most effective offensive player because he was actually making shit happen. Those 8 assists were like earned. I thought he was passing the ball really well tonight. Like, Obi's a different animal. Obi has to be used in a certain way. Again, he's an easy guy to fall in love with, but like, it's the same guy that people have been calling a bust over the last couple of weeks. Like, as always, the truth is somewhere in between. Haitian Ferg, what's going on, Haitian? Ujiri's team construction represents the new NBA. Well, tell that to Raptors fans, because a lot of them are not thrilled with their team construction. A lot of them wish there was a little bit more like normalcy, right? Anyway, their size allows for great rebounding, defending, especially zone defense. Mitch alone would have changed the outcome. We simply don't match up with them. I think if we had Mitch and Quickly tonight, I think they could have won that game for sure. Quick gives you an extra defender. Mitch helps you defensively. Hopefully your guys are playing better defensively at the point of attack and contesting those shots early on more with more vigor. But yeah, they're uniquely suited to beat the Knicks, that's for sure. I don't know if it's I think a lot of people thought that this was like the wave of the future when this team went about this season in this way, kind of entering the year with like, hey, we're just going to play a bunch of these dudes who are the same size. Hasn't worked as well as they've thought. I don't know. They don't seem like a broken team to me, although they came into this game like not having won since the last time we played them. So thanks, Haitian. Appreciate it. Juanon, what's going on, Juanon? Salute. We are simply not a good team with Mitch off the floor. I mean, the numbers agree with you. They've gotten outscored all year, or they have gotten outscored this year without Mitch on the floor. I knew he was important, but it couldn't have been clearer tonight. We need the remote from Click to fast forward till he's healthy. He's a really vital piece of their team. He just covers up so much. The great Ray Marcano said it on the halftime Zoom for newsletter subscribers today, and I'm putting it in my newsletter tomorrow. He's a security blanket. You know, it's not as much what we do see with Mitch; it's what we don't even see, because guys don't try stuff when he's in the game. It's just such a difference maker. And then when you throw in the fact that he's become a wonderfully improved defensive rebounder, when you throw in the fact that obviously his offensive rebounds are a game changer, all that stuff, he's teams fear him at both ends. And quickly too, quick, like, again, talk about a dude who it's not obvious maybe sometimes how important he is. That dude is freaking vital to their play at both ends. They need both of them back. Thanks, Juno. Dom Cappuccini with another one. I can't explain it, but it seems like we're missing more than Mitch. Monday's loss was understandable, but these last three, a lot of confounding mistakes. Yeah, it's been pretty confounding. I just realized I got my dates mixed up. They haven't lost 4 out of 5. They've lost 4 in a row. Right? Unless I'm again, the season has got me all screwed up. Yeah, the Detroit game came before the Toronto game. So it's Toronto, Washington, Atlanta, Toronto. There you go. Bad job by me. They've gotten worse in different ways. I don't know how you say it. But yeah, I'm less hopeful now than I was. They need to find something. Mango Man, what's going on, Mango? So how are we justifying Obi's minute total tonight? I mean, we've talked about it a ton. I figured it would be the topic of conversation. He needs to play more. Again, if you're asking me my justification is that they lost this game on the defensive end. And that's not necessarily Obi's strong suit. But the guys they played, Hartenstein played however many minutes. Like, he wasn't helping you on defense. He wasn't helping you on the defensive glass. He wasn't protecting the rim. He certainly wasn't helping on offense. So give Obi those minutes. Some of those minutes. At least some more of those minutes. Thanks, Mangu. Anthony Sixto, what's going on, Anthony? Randall could hold the ball, but there are plays he had to beg teammates to move while being doubled. I wish Emmanuel Quickly's tendency to keep moving was contagious. I thought they got better moving without the ball over the second and third quarters tonight. Again, at one point I think they had 21 assists on 25 shots, which is like, we talk about outstanding. And they ended up with 30 out of 40 shots, or 40 made field goals, which is like really, really as good as you're ever going to see a team. I mean, 75 assist percentage is obscene. And yeah, like, again, I thought the moments where Randall was holding the ball, I agree with you. There were guys who could have moved more. And this team, they don't do it enough. They just don't do it enough. They're not a great passing team. They're not a great team as far as moving around without the ball. And when they do it, they play really well. It's not like they can't do it. It's not like they don't know how to do it because we saw them do it. We saw them do it tonight. They did it pretty well. Yeah. Thanks, Anthony. Kevin McEwen, how does a coach pull a player when he's hot? Well, if you're talking about Obi in the first half, I mean, he had played 7.5 minutes or 7 minutes, whatever it is. You want to tell me he should have been on the floor for another minute or two? That's fine. You want to tell me maybe that's a good spot to try Randall and Obi together? That's fine. Yeah. Do you think Tibbs has an issue with Obi? No, I don't think Tibbs has an issue with Obi, like, personally. I think Tibbs recognizes what Obi is as a player. He recognizes his strengths. He recognizes his weaknesses. And, like, he's trying to factor in all considerations. And that's just how Tibbs is. This team can't win without RJ, Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle on the same page. I think they just need them playing well. I don't know that any of those guys necessarily amplified each other to some extraordinary degree when they were playing well this season, but they were usually you'd have at least two of the three playing well, and often at least one of the three was playing like exceptionally. None of them have played exceptionally for a while. Brunson had the big, big third quarter against Washington, and a good overall game against Washington. But, like, it's been a while since we've gotten great performances from them. Like, really great. Again, I thought Randall was good tonight, but thanks, Kev. Appreciate it. Frank Miranda, what's going on, Frank? What's up, Mac? It's your boy Frank from Patreon. Enough with this coach still playing drop coverages and his horrible substitution patterns. He's a fossil that needs to be buried already. I'm sorry, Frank. I'm sorry. I know everybody wants to fire Tibbs. He'll go the way of the dinosaur someday. I promise you. Probably sooner rather than later. But when you're missing guys and when you have a team that is not particularly high on high-end talent or is not as deep as everybody seems to like to make out that they are, you have difficult decisions. And when you make the wrong decision, and Tibbs has been, you have to say that they're the wrong decisions because they haven't been working, right? The grass is always going to be greener on the other side, So he opens himself up to that. That's why coaches get criticized more than anybody, because when whatever you do doesn't work, there's always an alternative. So it's like, well, clearly he chose wrong because he didn't choose the alternative and we lost going this way. It's the nature of the beast. Thanks, Frank. Frank with one more. What's up, Mac? It's your boy Frank from Patreon. The Knicks should not leave Toronto without a deal for Gary Trent. Gary Trent Jr. I think Gary Trent Sr. is a little old to play for us. If the front office and coach wants a mid-roster that can barely make the play-in, then go all in already. Yeah, I got a piece that I already have written on Gary Trent Jr. Coming out. Probably I'll run it on Tuesday or Thursday. At some point this week, I'll run it. I think he's a really nice player. I think he's a really good shooter. He could defend, well enough. He's got decent size for the position. He's been heating up. He started off the year a little slow. He's been heating up recently. He was obviously very hot tonight. I have some concerns. I'm not sure if it's the ideal trade for them, unless the cost is just going to be cheap. And I can't imagine the cost for Gary Trent Jr. is going to be that cheap. But stay tuned to a Knicks Film School newsletter coming to an inbox near you if you would like to read more about what I think of Gary Trent Jr. Red Sarachak, what's going on, Red? 2 post-blowout loss questions. If Johnny Bryant were the head coach, what changes? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. If you're a bench player that could be traded here, why come if you watch the Obi situation tonight? Yeah, I mean, again, the Obi situation is so unique. He's playing behind Julius Randle. Julius Randle is, if he's not an all-star, he's in the all-star conversation. he was good tonight. And the coach believes in rim protection and having a traditional center on the floor at all times to attempt to protect the rim and to grab defensive rebounds. That's part of his philosophy. It's part of his religion. It's a bad situation. I don't think other players in the league are looking at this and being like, oh no. Like, if I'm trying to think, if Alex Caruso got traded here, guess who's playing 30 minutes the first night he gets traded here? It's Alex Caruso. Tibbs has things that he likes because he believes they lead to winning. And those things that he likes were leading to a lot of winning for most of this year until the last week. And now he doesn't know what he's doing anymore. Thanks, Red. Forgotten NYC. Hashtag Obi Avengers will feel vindicated when Obi gets dealt and turns into a legit good player in a new system. I can't take Tibbs' stubbornness anymore. Yeah, everybody's sick of it, man. It's the Tibbs thing here in New York, it's wild because like people have made up their minds, Everybody has made up their mind. It doesn't, and it's not one sort of fan. It's not young fans. It's not old fans. It's not casual fans. It's not fans who live and die by the data. It's everybody. Everybody has made up their mind that he's just not the guy. Even when they're going well, even when they're winning, however many games in a row that they're winning, the compliments are like, I guess I got to give him credit. Because this and everybody wants him gone. Everybody wants him gone. Everybody's wanted him gone for a while now. People wanted him gone his first year here. People didn't want him hired. People wanted Kenny Atkinson, He's just, a lot of people are in your camp, Forgotten. He is not very many people's cup of tea. That is for sure. Dom Cappuccini with another one. Obi was the solo silver lining. I hope this was the breakout we all need with this stretch coming up. Sims was fine considering the matchup. Keep in the starting five. Yeah, Sims isn't going anywhere. He'll continue to start games as he should. He's the best option. I thought, he was fine. I thought he was fine. He's doing his best Mitch impersonation. But to anyone who has ever looked at him doing some nice things like I did last year, and I probably even did at times this year, and I was like, that Jericho Sims, he's pretty good. Do we really need Mitchell Robinson around? You better believe it. As for Obi, yeah, I mean, his hitting shots and doing stuff, I mean, it'll help them. Can't hurt. It'll absolutely help them. ML Nair, what's going on, ML? Isaiah Hardenstein is a waste. Right now he is. And McBride's decision-making on ball distribution and shots are killing the Knicks. Obi needs to be on the court with Emmanuel Quickly or Jalen Brunson. Yeah, because I think, in fairness, when he was on the court for the stretch in the first half, and he was nailing all those threes, I think he was in there with the same unit he was out there to start the fourth. Again, it just comes down to move the ball, make good decisions. Don't let the ball stick. If you're Deuce McBride, drive, kick. If you're open, shoot. I think at some point Deuce McBride is not going to have his rotation spot anymore, and I think it's just going to be a matter of time until they make a trade. And I imagine that will help bench units once he is probably on the outside looking in of the rotation. I think it'll help them score for sure. But yeah, he's just he defended pretty well tonight, but it's just so hard when you have an offensive player who doesn't give you anything. It's really hard. And it does help stymie Obi Toppin for sure. Thanks, ML. Hushu. Dang, not one praise for RJ. I said, look, he had some threes, had some nice finishes. Had 5 assists. He did have some nice passes. He had one pass that stuck out where he rifled the ball to Jericho Sims under the hoop. I thought that was a great pass. Yeah, I don't dislike RJ. I want him to be better. If the team goes on a really bad losing streak in this stretch, is Tibbs' job safe? Tibbs isn't going anywhere. Much to the chagrin of probably 95% of the people watching right now, Tibbs isn't going anywhere this season. Yeah, RJ had look, RJ might get one of my stars for tomorrow's newsletter. I don't know. There are moments. What he takes off the table, when he takes stuff off the table, it seems like such an unforced error so much of the time. And yeah, I think he could be better. And I would like him to be better. Thanks, Hush. I-95 Bully. The Raps didn't play a player taller than 6'9". Am I off base by saying I wouldn't have minded seeing Obi, Randall, Sims share the court? Jalen Brunson's still learning how to lead a team. I think he is. Only year 5, same as Mitch. That's an interesting one. No, because they always had Van Vliet or Gary Trent Jr. on the floor, and they would have just put those guys in high pick and roll, and like the Knicks were having enough trouble in high pick and roll as it was. So like you put an additional big guy on the floor, it makes it that much easier for the Raptors to put the Knicks in really difficult choices. And like for as much as they don't have players that are tall, they got fucking my God, they body you and it's amazing what they do on the glass, specifically on the offensive glass. It really is incredible. Got to put bodies on those guys. You got to be tougher. That's all it is. You got to be tougher. Thanks, I-95. ML, what's going on, ML? Again, Tibbs' recognition of his players' limitations is curious. How could he have expected that fourth quarter lineup to be successful? Every guy is a poor defender. Well, no. Deuce isn't a poor defender. RJ, I mean, I guess you're calling RJ Barrett a poor defender. He should not be a poor defender. But hard, and Obi, like everybody wants to see more Obi Toppin minutes, so I guess he can't be that poor of a defender, right? No, I think again the early fourth quarter. That's why I'm being hard on RJ. RJ took a dreadful shot. It was an early shot clock shot in which he went 2-on-1 or 1-on-2 rather. Excuse me. The ball got stripped, led to a fast break, easy bucket, and then he had I think he had another one that was a bad turnover where he was passing to I don't know who the fuck he was passing to, and then there was one other shot that he got blocked. That was just like it was not a smart look. Like if you're the guy running the offense, like you gotta, be better. I think that was the issue with that lineup more than the defense. It was the fact that the poor play of the offense during that stretch led to several Toronto either transition opportunities or semi-transition opportunities. That was the problem. As I saw it, I don't know. Thanks, ML. MRNK, sterile, unimaginative offense, aimless, unjustified substitution patterns, total absence of cerebral in-game adjustments. Yay, Tibbs. A lot of people feel the same way as you. A lot of people feel the same way as you. That, coach is worthless and should move on from him sooner rather than later. I feel like I am obligated to point out that the sterile, unimaginative offense came into tonight ranked 6th in the NBA, I believe. I don't know that matters. They had 30 assists tonight. But again, those are just Those are just numbers. Thanks, MRNK. Busy, what's going on, Busy? Can you please explain to me why we have to play Sims and iHeart for the entire 40 minutes? That's a good one. See, that's a good one. That I think is really valid. I think there's stuff that's not valid and ridiculous, and then I think that there's stuff that's very valid, and I think that's extremely valid. Again, if the reasoning is because you want to make sure it's rim protection and a defensive glass, and then you got a guy out there, especially in Hartenstein, who's not protecting the rim and who's not really helping on the defensive glass, well, then, what's your justification? That's where I mean, where it's like, okay, do you you have to get a little bit more creative here. Anyway, you can't tell me it was defense when we gave up 120 in the last 2 games. Yeah, no, it's again, it's not working. It's not working. It's a small sample size, but it's not working. And you can't tell me it's rebounding. They combined for 9 rebounds tonight. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, the one thing I'll throw in there, generally speaking, don't judge the centers ever by how many actual defensive rebounds they get, because their job is to box out and let Julius or let one of the guards or whoever grab the rebound so they can initiate the offense. That's by design. That said, no, the defensive rebounding was not good tonight. It was not good the other night. And I don't think it's going to get any better, which is why, I think we have seen enough of a sample size of Isaiah Hartenstein to know that, if these are the reasons that you're keeping him in the game, those are not great reasons. And you have to look at an adjustment with Mitchell Robinson out. You just have to. I don't think that there's any way around it. So good call, Busy. Thank you for the generous contribution as always. And with one more, here's Busy. Well, meanwhile, Obi played only 10 minutes tonight, going 5 of I think he went 5 of 8 from the field. This is minutes distribution malpractice. As it relates to your last comment, again, I agree. Put him on the floor with Randall. You couldn't have gotten much worse results. If we're not going to play defense, put 5 guys on the floor that could score. No, but I really do believe that, Hartenstein is not as bad defensively as we make him out to be sometimes, but I have to think that there is some defensive upside to trying Obi and Randall together. You gotta be creative here, because if you're not creative, the same thing as happened last year could happen now. Jibo, what's going on, Jibo? Simply, we have no margin for error, injury on this team. Yes, very, very true. Which is why we should make a move before the deadline. Good job tonight, RJ. Obi is good. Obi is good. Again, RJ did some nice things. Make a move before the deadline. I don't think they should wait that long. The deadline is 2.5 weeks away. You got I read the schedule off before. You got a lot of tough games between now and then. I understand you got to negotiate and the whole thing, and you got to make the right deal for your team, and you don't want to rush it, and you don't want to set the market, because at some point one of these guys, Caruso, Crowder, maybe Gary Trent Jr., Eric Gordon, I'm trying to think of other ones who I'm forgetting, Reggie Bullock, maybe. At some point, one of these guys is going to get traded, and Grayson Allen. I don't know. I'm trying to think of other guys on losing teams. At some point, one of these guys is going to get traded, and it's going to kind of set the market. And you don't want to be the team to set the market in a bad way. And right now, because everybody is still in it, with the exception of 5 teams, 25. It's amazing when we say that 25 teams in the league are legitimately still telling themselves we're in it. Everybody's looking to buy. Nobody's looking to sell. Malik Beasley is another one. But yeah, even like the Jazz, they're not looking to sell yet. Like all of these teams are not looking to sell, or if they are secretly looking to sell, when teams call them up, they're like, yeah, we're in the race. We're not selling, you know? And then if you're a team like Detroit with Bogdanovich or Burks, or Houston with Eric Gordon, or I don't know if anybody wants like Terrence Ross from Orlando, if you're any of these, or San Antonio with Josh Richardson or Doug McDermott, like if you're any of these teams and you have one of those guys, and that the teams that are in the play-in race or in the playoffs are telling folks calling up about their guys, well, like, hey, we're in it. We're not, we're not, unless you want to blow us away with an offer, we're not trading these guys. Like, that's going to set your market too. And that's why we're sitting here and we're 18, 19 days ahead of the trade deadline, and there hasn't been a single meaningful trade. I know there was like a luxury tax thing that Boston did recently, but the market is so stagnant right now because someone is going to need to be the first domino. And it's probably going to be a desperate team. And it might be us because shit, are they desperate at the moment for a little help? And hey, listen, they got a bunch of protected firsts. So, is it worth it? I don't know. We'll see. Thanks, Jibo. Helmer Ponchero, what's going on, Helmer? Assuming the Knicks can go 0-7 in the next 7 games, will the Knicks be buyers or sellers? This will be the breaking point for this front office. I don't think that they're going to go 0-7. If they go 0-7, they will be 25-30. I struggle. I struggle to see a world where they're sellers, only because I'm not sure what them being sellers looks like. And here's what I mean by that. They have a top 6 of Brunson, Randall, RJ, Mitch, and Grimes. I'm leaving quickly aside for a second. They're not trading any of those players. I mean, I suppose there's a world where some team could absolutely blow them away for Julius Randle if they do go on a 10-0 or an 0-10 stretch. Maybe they entertain those conversations. Actually, it wouldn't shock me if they entertain those conversations, but even so, someone would need to like beyond blow them away. If they do go on that sort of stretch, I do wonder if they would change their stance on like entertaining quickly trades. If at that point they're just like, yeah, we would rather have a new first round pick around the same range that quickly was taken, or preferably a little bit better. I don't think they would do that. Obviously I hope they don't do that. And then there's Obi, like I'd be willing to bet that a team, if they made a decent offer to the Knicks, could have Obi Toppin right now. I don't think they could go 7-0. They could go 0-7. I don't think it's going to change their position on Obi Toppin very much. It's about what are they getting. So like, the Knicks aren't a team. They're not a team like I'm trying to think. They're not a team like the Jazz, or I'm trying to think of a team like. Oh, here's a good one. Like no, that's not it. I was going to say the Mavs. Like, imagine like Luka got injured or something and he like had to miss the rest of the year. I hope he doesn't. But like they have a bunch of like mid-tier contracts that theoretically other teams could want, although like who really wants some of that money? Like the Knicks my point is like the Knicks are not incredibly well positioned to just turn around and be like, all right, we're going to be sellers. Like, let's get it. Like the guys that you would think of that they would do that with are guys that people don't want or teams don't want. So that's why I'm not sure about that one. Thanks, Helmer. Calm Soul Studio, thank you for the contribution. Appreciate it. Busy with another one. Thank you, Busy. You're very kind. Overall, I'm happy with the offense, but I just wonder why we can't try something different when the usual doesn't work. I mean, when the usual doesn't work, it usually has something to do with the other team is probably doing something well. And B, like, the Knicks are again a team short on top end talent. Like, you know I'm always going to push back with the numbers. After tonight, yeah, the Knicks are still 6th in offense. There are 5 teams in the NBA that have a better offense than the Knicks. You know, obviously we should still fire the coach because he's not responsible for them being good in that department. Clearly that happens despite him. Sorry, I have to have a little fun when I can. Yeah, like, they're really good on offense, Busy. I don't, like, they know what they are, they know what they want to do. They when it goes bad, you know why it's going bad. It's because they get into the one bad habit that they have, which is that they don't move the ball enough and they don't move enough as players around. But when they move with the ball and they move around, and like, again, we're sitting here and talking about the 6th ranked offense in the league, and they're bottom 5 in 3-point shooting, which is like, I wouldn't have thought that was possible in the NBA in 2023, but it is, and they're doing it without a star player. So, yeah, I mean, it's the defense right now. They got to clean up the defense. Equals Peace. What's going on, Equals Peace? 14 points in 11 minutes for Obi, and he barely sees the floor in the second half. I really get on Tibbs, but I didn't understand that decision. Yeah. It's Tibbs being inflexible, and it's one of his negative qualities, one of his bigger negative qualities. It's a positive sometimes when his inflexibility leads to good results. When he sticks something out and the thing that he sticks out turns around and, ends up looking better. But when that doesn't happen, he just looks like a guy who's unwilling to change. And it's not a good look. It's not a good look. Thanks, Equals Peace. 1-6-51. Do you think RJ only realizes stardom in a 5-out system? That's a good question. I think it'll help him for sure. I think it'll help him become a more efficient offensive player. I don't know that he's ever going to realize stardom in the way that, like, I don't know, like, what's a star? There are ways that he could be realizing stardom right now. They're right in front of him on the court. It's just better decision making, make more passes. Like, like Kawhi Leonard, Jimmy Butler, Paul George. I'm trying to think of, like, other wings that have, like, really been the best wings in the sport over the last, like, 10, 15 years. Those guys are stars in part because they play both ways really well, and they're really good two-way players. And yes, the offense has a lot to do with it for all 3 of those guys that I just mentioned. That goes without saying. But defensively, like, all of those guys have made all NBA teams. Like, Kawhi's been in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. Like, even Chris Middleton, right? Who's a guy that, like, is, again, known for his offense. Like, Chris Middleton, you can't fuck around with Chris Middleton on defense. That dude holds his own. He plays like his size. He makes life difficult on opponents. He's not taking anything off the table defensively. I'm not worried about RJ's offense. I think RJ's offense is going to be fine. Shoots the ball well. He's become better as a finisher this year. He's taken less bad shots after he got over a rough beginning of the season. Like, we know he could pass it. He had some nice passes tonight. Like, he's 22. He's not always going to make the right decisions on offense. I'm fine with that. I don't mind it. You got to defend, man. You got to defend. You want to be a star wing in the league? Fucking go look at your boy Andrew Wiggins. And look at how he had people calling for him. Obviously, Steph was the runaway finals MVP last year, but, why do you think Andrew Wiggins was the second best player in the finals for the NBA champion? because he defends. Is he the best defender in the world? No, he's not the best defender in the world. He entered the league with a good defensive reputation. He never really quite lived up to it, but he stuck with it. He became a guy who just knew how to use his size and his ability. And I understand RJ doesn't have that level of athleticism. I get that. But what he loses in athleticism, he makes up for in size, I think, because he's a big guy. He's big. He's strong. And yet he doesn't play strong on defense at all, not even a little bit. And if you're not going to play strong on defense, and you're not going to be able to keep up with quicker guys, and you're not going to be able to use your size to prevent littler guys from getting penetration on you whenever they want, what are you doing? But of course, all of that is neither here nor there, because we live in a world where, RJ will get the perpetual pass and the coach will get the perpetual blame. That's just how we go about things. Good question. Hayden Freed with another one. Randall can't play less. Randall and Obi are the reason the Hawks killed us. Obi should play more. All things can happen. Tibbs coach equals this isn't Obi's home. I think there is a world where it could happen here. I agree it is unlikely, given, again, how this coach operates and what he values. And again, that I keep saying what he values. There's a reason he values the things that he values. He values the things that he values because they generally do lead to winning basketball. Rebounding, rim protection, sealing off the paint, all of those things. But perfect is the enemy of the good. And right now, Tibbs' perfect world doesn't exist. So he needs to just try to be good enough. Now, when Mitch is back healthy, is that going to change anything? Eventually, if they're going to keep Randall, then they have to trade Obi. That's true. Thanks, Hayden. Equals piece with another one. Teams see a layup line opportunity with Sims in there. He's just not enough of an interior presence. We need to make a move. I don't think they're going to make a big trade to seal a leak for 3 weeks. I'd be very surprised, actually, if they did that. I mean, unless it's an absolutely no, the Ibaka rumor came up this week. But I don't again, this is one of those things where we should want to develop Jericho Sims. I understand there's bumps in the roads, but Jericho Sims, the last 2 days in Mitchell Robinson's absence, and even if you want to go back a game before that against Washington, I think he's done enough where you should want to keep seeing more. I spoke about this in the last game. It's the difference between Jericho Sims and Deuce McBride for me right now is I've seen enough of Deuce to know that I don't know if I need to see any more this season. He needs to just get better on the ball and needs to be able to make shoot confidently, make more shots more consistently. Sims, I've seen enough that I want to see more. And I think this time for him could yield really significant dividends in the long run. He's still learning. And I think it's worth it to continue investing in this player. I think he's a good player. I think he has a chance to be maybe even a little bit better than a good player. Red Sarachek with another one. Julius is on a 40 minutes a night, and all he does is ball out. Hypothetical that I had to think about, but would you trade Isaiah Hartenstein for a Saturday night reservation at Carbone? Easily. I've never been to Carbone. I always wanted to go to Carbone. Always wanted to go. I thought I was going to get a chance to go a year ago, and it didn't come through. I would trade Isaiah Hartenstein for a Saturday night reservation at White Castle at this point. But White Castle's not giving away those burgers. Those burgers are good. I haven't had a White Castle burger in so long. I miss White Castle. I love White Castle so much. Anyway, Fargo Tufo, what's going on, Fargo? Me and Tankathon are going to become good friends. Listen, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. Might be getting there. We're not there yet. Thanks, Fargo. Dom Cappuccini, we want more. Dom, you are the MVP tonight, man. Thank you. You and Busy coming up huge. I'm starting to walk away from the cliff. See, it only took an hour and 20 minutes. I know the vibes a little over a week ago had us all dreaming about a 5th seed. Ed, you speak for yourself. I was more like, let's get that 6. If we settle in around 8th after 82 games, I can't say I wouldn't be happy with that outcome last October. I mean, going into the year, I think most of us were like, hey, the 9 seed would be a really nice year. And then expectations kind of change. Now, given how well they started off, were the expectations correct to change? Yes. Does this Mitchell Robinson injury perhaps adjust the expectations back to where they were before the season? I think that that's fair. I'm not about to sit here and be like 9 would be a good year, because I don't believe that. Like, if you're a decent team, you should be able to figure out how to get, again, this stretch. It would have been what, 5-9, then it went to 5-8, and now after today, it's like they have to go 5-7. Can you get, like, a decent team with the talent they still have on the roster should figure out how to get 5 more wins before the All-Star break. And if you get to the All-Star break at 30-30, from there you could make a run at 7 or 8, especially given the East this year, where there are no world beaters, unless Atlanta goes on a run. And I think their defense is fundamentally broken. I don't think that they will defend at a high enough level to go run away and hide with the 7th seed. Miami, I'm already conceding the 6th seed to, but I think the Knicks should be able to be in the running for the 7th seed at the very least from now until the end of the year. If they could figure out a way, just get to the freaking All-Star break at 500. I don't know if they could do it. Maybe they can. We'll see. Red Sarachek with another one. We're blessed Emmanuel quickly is a Knick. Yep. Get the 6th seed and avoid the play-in game. I would love that. I watched the whole 4th quarter of the Miami game today against New Orleans. I try to watch Miami as much as I can because, like, I'm constantly high on them. I obviously it's become a running bit. I talk them up all the time in the Patreon pod, just because I have an obscene amount of respect for Pat Riley and Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. But, like, I was watching them tonight in the 4th quarter, and, like, talk about a game that came down to the wire that had no business coming down to the wire. Give New Orleans all the credit in the world. They're missing Zion, they're missing Ingram, and they fight. They fight, and you want to talk about a team that's flexible, and you want to talk about a coach who has no golden cows. Like, Jonas Valanciunas, like, wasn't in the 4th quarter of that game. He sits a lot of 4th quarters. It's matchup dependent. Like, they were playing the Heat. Jonas Valanciunas would have gotten cooked by Miami, probably at both. Would have gotten cooked certainly on the defensive end of the floor, because Miami's good enough to exploit that. And, like, they would be able to handle him on the defensive end because they have Bam. So what does Willie Green do? He goes with Larry Nance Jr. for pretty much the entire 4th quarter of that game. That's flexibility. Now, did they win the game? No. Did Larry Nance Jr. have a couple of moments there in the 4th quarter? Like, they had a opportunity to pass to him down low. He just kind of fumbled the pass and it went out of bounds, and it was a really big play in the moment. I'm going off on a tangent. The point is, like, Willie Green, good flexibility. Great job by him. I think he's absolutely should be in the discussion for Coach of the Year, like the final real discussion for Coach of the Year, not just like, oh, he should be in the discussion. But they still lost. And the reason they lost is because Miami was just good enough at both ends. They were just good enough on defense, and they were just good enough on offense. They're not great at either. I don't even know if they're very good at either, but they're good enough at both. And I think that will carry them far. They clearly don't get rattled. Hero is a freaking good offensive player. He makes tough shots, takes a lot of tough shots, makes a lot of tough shots. And, Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo or Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. So I think they're going to get 6 seed. If the Knicks could get 7, be a great job by them. Thanks, Red. Forgotten NYC. Obi reminds me of fans who fall in love with the backup quarterback. No, Obi's good. And I do believe he'll be good probably on his next team when he gets traded. Because I imagine whoever's going to trade for him is going to trade for him with a plan. And they're like, we're going to use this player in this particular way, and we're going to take the good that comes with it. We're going to take the bad that comes with it. And I think you're going to get a situation like, with Christian Wood in Dallas, where Christian Wood, all anybody wants to talk about is how great Christian Wood has been on the offensive end of the floor, and like the overall numbers with him and Luka are so good, and they're outscoring teams with them on the floor, and the offense is like this crazy good offense. Meanwhile, Dallas is the 25th or 26th ranked defense in the league this year. And like I understand you could point to like the numbers with Wood on the floor and say, well, it's not really all Wood. Okay, but he's a big part of it, and what happens, I think what's going to happen with Obi is he's going to get traded to his next team, and people are going to pay a lot of attention to the offense. And I would, and we see this with other guys too, with like Valanciunas. People want to pay mostly of the attention to the offense. It's easier to pay attention to the offense. When the numbers are pretty and you get the highlights and the whole thing. Wherever he goes, it doesn't matter where he goes, Obi Toppin is going to present his next coach with some unique challenges, I'll say. Unless it's a team that has a legit rim protecting, somewhat versatile 5 on the defensive end that could also hit threes on offense, which is why the Indiana situation is so fascinating. Because in theory, they have the perfect front court partner for Obi Toppin. And if he goes there with that fucking point guard, whew, I do think that is like the perfect situation for him. If he goes anywhere else, I'm kind of less excited. Anyway, Juan Sex 51 with another one. Not the biggest Tibbs fan, but what can a Quinn Snyder type come in and do with this roster? Spacing and star power are very lacking. Makes coaching hard. Stop talking sense. Stop talking sense. No, Quinn would come in here. He'd have all the answers. Team would be a 4 seed in a week. Without question. Mark Sable, what's going on, Mark? How you doing, bud? Not defending Tibbs, but to me, the blame for where this team is falls on the front office for failing to acquire a star after making trading for one their only path. I would never ask anybody else to defend Tibbs. I've taken that mantle proudly. I'm not going to blame the front office. Front office put together a good team. They did a nice job. They made some mistakes along the way. The Mitchell thing didn't go their way. They thought they were playing it smart. It didn't work out. It happens. It doesn't, like, they didn't make that trade, so they get a do-over, and the way they earn their do-over is if this team performs well enough. And as we're sitting here today, as much as the sky seems like it's falling right now, they're 25-22, and that's good enough. And it means the front office gets to continue feeling pretty good about what they've done. Their job is not over. They need to do more, especially now with the team really showing itself to be pretty thin. But that's nothing to do with a star. Would it be nice to have a star? Yes, it would be nice to have a star. But they don't have one, and it is what it is. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it as always. Robert Cross, I knew we were going to hear from him eventually. First time, long time, John. Didn't watch tonight's game. Well, you're lost, Robert. Do we have anything to look forward to before the All-Star game? Hashtag 53 wins. I don't know. This team surprising us again. Like, you would have bet anything after both of the Mavs games, I guess, right? You would have bet it. Actually, even 3 times. I'll give you. Okay. After the Oklahoma City game, the first one at home, season felt like it was over. After the first Mavs game, season felt like it was over. After the second Mavs game, the season felt like it was over. Now, I recognize after the second Mavs game, they lost the game after that to San Antonio, but they rebounded each of those times, and they showed a character and a spirit and a togetherness that I did not believe that they had each of those times. Maybe that's what we have to look forward to. Maybe they show us one more time that they have the ability to dig down, dig deep, and be better. We'll find out. Busy with another one. Regarding RJ's playmaking, if you don't use a skill for a while, it becomes rusty. He doesn't get a lot of time to do that when Brunson is on the ball. I go more by a player's usage rate. And if a guy gets a commensurate usage rate, like, again, we're not imagining this stuff with RJ Barrett. There's been a lot of passes he's left on the table. Now, if you want to tell me it's the skill is becoming rusty, I think it has more to do with the fact that, like, especially earlier in the year, RJ was trying to prove himself, having just gotten paid $100 million, and he was the centerpiece of the Donovan Mitchell trade until he wasn't. He made some nice passes tonight. He has it in him to make good passes, but he also has it in him to think that he could put the team on his back when the results perhaps do not justify that. And I think what happened at the beginning of the fourth quarter tonight was one of those instances where RJ's like, I got this. And he was not. He knows better. He's such a smart player. This is why everybody loves him. Like, we know he's smart. And I don't think he utilizes that skill. And that should be his best skill. That should be his best skill. It is not always his best skill. Thanks, Busy. Busy with another one. You said it yourself, when a team like Toronto shut down the engine, then what? People like RJ are just not used to doing the playmaking anymore. That's very fair. That's fair, because they do play a certain style with Brunson, and that's why I really do want to give Julius Randle a lot of credit, because, like, I thought Randle took on the challenge and the responsibility of, look, he doesn't have it against his team. It's not happening. I have to direct the offense. And, like, again, to his credit, that is not something Julius Randle's had to do a lot this year, and I thought he did it really well. And he's a really good basketball player. And, like, RJ should not be expected to be on that level yet, because Randle's had a much longer runway, and he's had experience as the number one guy in a team. So, but yeah, like, I don't know. And also Quickly's out too. So that's another part of it, right? You're playing without that guy too. And Quickly does a lot of stuff in subtle ways, especially because he shares the floor with RJ. So, yeah, if you want to make the argument that RJ was kind of a fish out of water tonight, I will hear that. I will hear that 100%. I will give him more of a pass tonight. Mea culpa. I'm sorry, RJ Barrett. I was too hard on you. Happened an hour and 35 minutes into the post-game broadcast that I'm saying as much, but better late than never, right? Yeah, it was not a great, maybe not a great night to pick on RJ for that reason. Busy, good job by you pointing that out. Absolutely. He still could be better. he's still going to be better, and I trust he will be better moving forward. All right, I think that's it. I know we got a lot of angry people out there, and that's fair. It sucks to lose. It's not fun to lose, especially when you've been doing a lot of winning. And the Knicks have done a lot of winning this year. This team was 25-19. You believe that? And now it feels like we're never going to win another game. That's baseball, Susan. Okay. Enough from me. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget, like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow Knicks Film School on social media, anywhere you get your social media fix. At Knick Film School, that's SKOOL. We will be back. Me and Jeremy are going to be on our usual show tomorrow. I'll be curious to see how that goes after what was a very bad week. Very bad week. I don't know why I started the show saying they were 1-3 and 4 of their last 5. I in my mind the Detroit game came after the Toronto game. I don't know why I did that. Anyway, they'll get a win eventually at some point. I promise. That's how I'll leave you. I'll see you guys later.